Now I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. And before you talk, you will have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can also make some notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, so here is a paper and pencil for making notes.
Thank you.
Sure. And here is your topic. Please don't write anything on the booklet. I'd like you to describe an important event in your life that you celebrated.
So I'm going to talk about my graduation ceremony happened 2 years ago. That time I accomplished my bachelor degree in criminal justice in Shanghai University of Political Science and Law. And I was glad I accomplished the bachelor degree at that time, unlike my roommates, they may not get the degree. And at that graduation ceremony, my tutor and my classmates and roommates accompanied with me, and we celebrated the event by just joining a ceremony at the students' hall, and after that we go for a meal. But I'm going to talk about more about the meal after, or just the meal after the ceremony, because it is the most important part of the event. Because at that day we all drank a lot, and our tutor told us a lot about our future. And it was that day that I exactly know what I'm going to do in the future, because he told us that our constitution protects everyone's legal rights, but no matter their race, their gender, even their sexual orientation. But the fact that we don't live in a courthouse, so it is quite hard to make equality happen in the real world. So he told me that I have to understand the spirit or the mindset of procedural justice. It's the only way to realize equality, the real world. That is why I am now working at a non-profit organization, and we provide free legal consulting service to the poor, the aged, or the disabled. And at that day, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about a very important event in my life that I celebrated. It was when I got the the permission of the graduate school of journalism, and it was very important to me. Therefore, my friends they invited me to a restaurant, and we had a lot of very special dishes, and we had a lot of beer. Actually, why this event was so important is because I majored in physics in university, and however in the second grade I started to be interested in journalism and I wanted to be a reporter. Therefore I decided that if I got the permission of entering a graduate school of journalism, I would be a journalist. And therefore I think this event has changed my life, changing my career, and now I'm really I'm very enjoying what I do. And just as I mentioned that when I was young, I like to tell others a lot of stories that I made, now I like to hear a lot of other stories and introduce to the public. For me, that just I can derive a lot of sense of fulfillment.
I'd like to talk about an event
which is really surprised me in my internship. I was an assistant consultant in a consulting company called Bain and Company in the last summer, and my group and I were going to deliver a business plan to our clients. I was responsible for a part of this presentation. That was my first time to deliver a formal presentation to the audience, so I was really nervous. To prepare for this presentation, I bought a business formal suit and a nice designer tie. So I think because I think they can made me more confident. Before the presentation, I arrived 20 minutes earlier than the appointment and test whether the PPT slides and the projectors works well. Finally, I made it, and the client didn't recognize me as an intern. So my colleague and I were celebrating together after the presentation. It was quite important for me because as an intern I want the return offer from the company.
Okay. Recently, the most best event I celebrated was I got the attendant to my vocation of occupation of veterinarian department, because before 2016 I was a nurse working in a nursing home, and at that time I was working, but I still frustrated about my profession, because we can't do any treatment to our patient. So I think I want to change myself. So I love animals. So I got the examination for attendant to the vet department, and in 2016 I got this opportunity to enter this school. So this is my journey for my child, because that is a very difficult challenge for me. So when I know that test result, and I will enter to this vet, I can learn the vet. Me and my mother and my brother and me, we are so very happy. So we plan a travel plan. We made a travel plan to Thailand to celebrate this event. This year, I have time. My brother and my mother and I have the time to travel to Thailand, make this trip. And there
I'm going to talk about an important event that is my 12 years old birthday. Because in my country, the 12 years old birthday is very important for children. That is such a memorable time for the children in a whole life. So that I have this kind of celebration of my birthday, and my parents helped me to hold this important party, the birthday party. And as for who celebrated this event for me, Actually, because as I just mentioned, it's a very big party, so that it's besides my parents, they also invited many of my best friends, and also my parents, colleagues, and friends, and also my families and some relatives. Okay, so regarding to how we celebrated this event, firstly we went to a very big restaurant, and actually that is the first time I went to such a luxury restaurant, and I had to say that the environment and the decoration of this hall is very left me a very good impression, and all my families are celebrated the birthday, and to eat a very delicious cake, and also do something very fun. And when it comes to why I think it's very important to me, as I just mentioned, it's a traditional celebration in China, and 12 years old is very important for children. So that left me a really good impression. And also, that's the first time I have a very, to some extent, the most meaningful birthday party in my whole life. So that was a really important celebration for me. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, let's move now to part 2. Okay, now I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. And before you talk, you will have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can also make some notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, so here is a paper and pencil for making notes. Sure. And here is your topic. Please don't write anything on the booklet. I'd like you to describe an important event in your life that you celebrated. Okay, important event you celebrated. Here is sample 1.
So I'm going to talk about my graduation ceremony happened 2 years
Which happened 2 years ago? Which happened?
ago. That time I accomplished my bachelor degree.
See, accomplished is not the right word. I completed my bachelor's degree. Completed, not accomplished.
In criminal justice in Shanghai University.
At Shanghai University. At. Okay, so lots of mistakes. It's still easy to understand what he's saying, but lots of mistakes.
Political science and law. And I was glad I accomplished the bachelor degree.
And he's making the same mistakes. I was glad I completed my bachelor's degree.
At that time, unlike my roommates, they may not get the degree.
I'm a little bit confused here, because this happened 2 years ago. 2 years ago. But then here he says they may not get the degree. Well, here he's using the present tense. So did they get their degree or not? I'm confused about the tenses.
Roommates, they may not get the degree. And at that graduation ceremony, my tutor and my classmates and roommates accompany with me.
In English, we just say accompany. There's no with. So my classmates and my roommates accompanied me, accompanied past tense.
And we celebrated the event by just joining a ceremony act.
By joining. We celebrated the event. I don't know why it's S here. I think it's just one event. We celebrated the event by joining the ceremony. Okay.
At the students' hall, and after that we go for a meal. But
again, the tense is wrong. We went for a meal. I mean, the vocabulary is pretty good. To say go for a meal, it's not bad, but you do need to use the correct tense.
I'm going to talk about more about the meal after, or just the meal after the ceremony.
A little bit confusing here. So I want to talk about the meal after the ceremony, yeah?
Yeah, because it is the most important part of the event.
Again, he's using the present tense.
Because at that day we all...
On that day. On that day.
Drunk a lot, and
Drank a lot. Okay, so lots of problems with the tenses. Also prepositions. On that day, we drank a lot.
tutor told us a lot about our future, and it was that day that I exactly.
Whoa. Hang on a second. I am making mistakes too. Not that I exactly know. Okay, and here he's continuing with the present tense.
Tutor told us a lot about our future, and it was that day that I exactly know what I'm.
Exactly knew. But I think the word he's looking for is maybe found out. And it was on that day that I found out exactly what I was going to do in the future. Still easy to understand, but too many mistakes for a high score. So it was on that day that I found out exactly what I was going to do in the future.
In the future, because he told us that our constitution protects everyone's legal right.
Okay, he's using some good vocabulary here. Although the vocabulary he's using comes from his background. He studied, what did he study? Politics, right? So he is familiar with the word constitution. He's familiar with the word legal rights. I mean, it's good vocabulary, but it is something that he is already familiar with.
Protect everyone's legal right, but no matter their.
No but. If you're going to say it protects everybody's legal right, and then you say no matter, there's no but. No matter their race, gender. Actually, I should put a comma there.
Right, but no matter their race, their gender, even their sexual orientation.
So it is sexual, not sexurant, sexual.
But the fact that we don't live in a courthouse, so.
But so. But. So. But we don't live in a courthouse, so it's quite hard to. I'm a bit confused here, but the fact, because here he says the fact. Okay, so maybe what he should have said is, but the fact that we don't live in a courthouse means it is quite hard. So I would suggest, if you're going to use the phrase the fact that, don't use so, use a verb, means. So this fact means it's quite hard.
Live in a courthouse, so it is quite hard to make equality happen in the.
And now he's using the past tense, but here he should be using the present tense, because what he's saying here is not something that's finished, it's not in the past, it's something that's always true. It's quite hard to, I think if you're going to use the word equality, why not use the verb achieve? So if we want to achieve equality, happened in the exact. I don't know what that means. So if you want to achieve equality in the real world,
equality happened in the real world.
I'm still confused. Oh, it's hard. It's hard to achieve equality in the real world. Okay, I got it.
In the real world.
Mm-hmm.
So he told me that I have to understand the spirit or the mindset of procedural justice.
Procedural justice. Again, excellent vocabulary, but this is what he studied.
It's the only way to realize equality, the real world.
Now he uses a better verb. Here he uses the word realize. Realize and equality, these two go together. This is a very good collocation.
That is why I am now working at a non-profit organization.
Also good vocabulary, a non-profit.
And we provide free legal consulting service to the poor, the aged, or the disabled.
Okay, here the vocabulary gets really good. All of this, the aged,
I mean, this is a great phrase. Instead of saying elderly people, he says the aged. Great.
And at that day,
But then he says at that day. Oh, on that day. On that day. Too bad about all the grammatical mistakes. Sample 2.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about a very important event in my life that I celebrated. It was when I got the the permission of the graduate school of journalism.
Okay, this guy's struggling a little bit here. I think what he's trying to say is when I got the letter of acceptance or acceptance letter, when I got the acceptance letter from the graduate school of journalism.
Graduate school of journalism, and it was very important to me. Therefore, my friends they invited me.
Why does that? What am I doing here? This is obviously invited. Now, he did mispronounce invited. He said invited.
They invited me to a restaurant.
Oh, good grief. To a restaurant. Let's try that again.
They invited me to a.
Oh, Christ. A restaurant. Okay, man, I need to drink more coffee.
Invited me to a restaurant, and we had a lot of very special dishes, and we had a lot of beer.
So far, it's not terrible, but it's not outstanding because the grammar is pretty simple. It was important to me. My friends invited me to a restaurant. We had dishes. We had beer. Nothing too complex.
A lot of beer. Actually, why this event was so important is because.
Was important. Well, I don't know. Is it still important? I think so.
I majored in physics in university.
I majored because you're finished with university, right? So I majored in physics at university.
And however, in the second grade, I started to.
The self-correction is a little bit distracting.
I started to be interested.
Actually, this is not a self-correction because he's just said the same thing. This is just repetition. I started to.
In journalism and I wanted to be a reporter.
This is self-correction. He corrects from. Oh, good grief! I made a mistake. This is want, isn't it?
Be interested in journalism and want to be.
Yep. Yeah, this is self-correction. He corrected from want to wanted. But this is happening too often. Like here it was just straight repetition. I started to. I want to, I wanted to.
I wanted to be a reporter. Therefore I decided that if I got the permission of entering a graduate school of.
No. If I got the verb here is admitted. So if I got admitted to the graduate school of journalism, if I got admitted. But look at the grammar here. Here actually he uses the if correctly. If, and here's the modal, I would.
A school of journalism, I would be a journalist.
But then he goes from would to will to would. That's a lot.
I would be a journalist. And therefore I think this event has changed my life, changed my career.
This is finished. This is in the past, so it should just be changed. That has changed. Wrong tense.
Now I'm really I'm very enjoying what I do.
We can't use very and enjoy together. So I really enjoy what I'm doing. I really enjoy what I'm doing.
Yes, just as I mentioned that when I was young, I like to tell others a lot of stories that I made.
Let's just hear this again.
Tell others a lot of stories that I made.
Oh, a lot of. Good grief. The first time I listened to this, I couldn't make out what he said. A lot of stories that I made. Okay. Now, let's try that again. If you invent stories that are not true, the verb is make up. So I liked to tell others a lot of stories that I made up. Made up. Not made. To make something is like to create something. But make up is to like invent something that's not true, not real.
I like to tell others a lot of stories that I made, now I like to hear a lot of other stories and introduce to the public. For me, that just I can derive a lot of sense of fulfillment.
Derive a lot of. See, the problem is you can't have a lot of sense of something. You can have a lot of joy, you can have a lot of fulfillment, but if you say a lot of, the next word cannot be sense. So I can derive a lot of fulfillment. That would be okay. Or I can derive a sense of fulfillment would be okay too. But the problem is just when you put a lot of and sense together, those don't go together. His pronunciation, I mean, the rhythm is fine, and he didn't mispronounce too many words, but the word stress is okay, but I didn't hear a lot of sentence stress. I didn't hear a lot of intonation either. The grammar was a bit simple, and there was so much self-correction and sometimes just repeating things unnecessarily that it made it a bit difficult to follow what he's saying also. Let's move on to, is there something else I wanted to say about this? No, maybe not. Alright, here's sample 3.
Well, I'd like to talk about an event which is really surprised me.
Here we have a main verb and a be verb. No be verb, which really surprised me.
In my internship, I was an assistant consultant in a consulting company called Bain and Company in the last summer, and my
This at the end of words, and
group and I were going to deliver a business plan to our clients.
good vocabulary. Deliver a business plan. That's good. It's just a pity about all the self-correction here. My group and I are, were, is all over the place. But the vocabulary here is pretty good.
This plan to our clients. I was responsible for a part of this presentation. That was my first time to deliver a formal presentation.
Again here, very good vocabulary. Deliver and presentation go together, and he threw in the adjective formal. Deliver a formal presentation. Good vocabulary.
Presentation to the audience, so I was really nervous. To prepare for this presentation,
But look at how he pronounces the word prepare. He says, let's go back to that.
To prepare for this presentation.
To prepare. Oh, I should have corrected that. Okay, so some problems with pronunciation. Whoa, I didn't even fix this. Okay, let's put this there. He does have a problem with the TH sound. He says this.
To prepare for this presentation, I bought a.
If he just didn't do this, I bought, it would be so much better. Maybe you could get it like a 6.5. Because look at this. A business form. Oh, did he say business formal? I was going to say the vocabulary is so good. But the formal has to go before the business. It's a formal business suit, not business formal suit.
A business formal suit.
It's too bad. Formal business suit.
A nice designer tie. So
Single ties is going to be a nice designer tie. But good vocabulary.
So I think because I think they can make me more confident. They can make me.
Yeah, he used the modal and then he used the past tense. They can made me. They can make me. They can make me more what?
Made me more confident.
I thought he was going to say comfortable. Luckily he didn't. He said confident. Okay, I thought they could make me. He should have said because I thought, because this is all in the past. I thought they could make me more confident.
Me more confident. Before the presentation, I arrived 20 minutes earlier.
Again, this is a very unusual way to say things. So I arrived 20 minutes before the presentation started. I arrived 20 minutes before the presentation started.
Then the appointment and the test whether the PPT slides and the projectors works well.
Again, he's not using the past tense.
Finally, I made it, and the clients didn't.
I'm not sure what this means. Finally, I made it. Because usually when people say I made it, either it means they succeeded or they arrived somewhere.
The client didn't recognize me as an intern.
Good grammar here. They didn't recognize me as an intern. Good grammar. I don't know what he said there. The clients didn't what?
It and the clients didn't. The client didn't.
I still don't know.
Recognize me as an intern. So.
Oh, good grief. As an intern. I really need more coffee. They recognize me as an intern. Alright.
My colleague and I are
Okay. Oof. Vocabulary is good. Grammar is not bad, but too many mistakes. Fluency is not good at all because of all the self-correction.
For celebrating together after the present.
Like, look, what is going on here? After the presentation.
It was quite important for me because, as an intern, I want the return offer from the company.
I don't know what a return offer is. This is like a job offer, and this again should be in the past tense. I wanted an offer, or I wanted the company to make me an employment offer or something like that. Not sure what a return offer is. Here is sample 4.
Okay. Recently,
Recently.
the most best.
The most best. Okay, so lots of pronunciation problems like most best
Event I celebrated was
celebrate.
I got the attendant to
I don't know what she's saying. What is she talking about? My vocation, occupation.
my vocation occupation of veterinarian department.
Okay. I don't know how long she's been speaking. Maybe 20 seconds, 23 seconds. I don't know what she's saying. What is she saying? I got the attendant to my vocation, occupation. Vocation and occupation mean the same thing. Attendant is probably not what she's trying to say. Veterinary department. Okay, so the first part I just don't understand. Let's go on.
Department, because before 2016 was I was a nurse working in a nursing home, and at that time I was.
Okay, I think I understand what she's trying to say. Okay, so what I celebrated was I got admitted to the veterinarian department of some university. I got admitted to, not attendant, and it's not vocation, occupation, it's none of this. I got admitted to the veterinary department. I don't think it's veterinarian, I think it's veterinary. I got admitted to the veterinary department of blah 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 university. Okay, so she used to be a nurse, all right?
At that time I was working, but I still frustrated about my.
Frustrated is an adjective, so we do need a beaver, but I was still frustrated.
Frustrated about my profession.
With my profession.
Because we can't do.
We couldn't do any
treatment to our patient.
We couldn't treat our patients. I don't know why that's true. Why couldn't they treat their patients? But anyway, we couldn't treat our patients.
So I think I will.
So I thought I would.
I want to change myself.
I thought I would change myself. I don't know if that change my job. So I thought I would change jobs. Maybe.
So I love animals.
Animals.
So I got the examination.
I took the examination.
For attendant to the vet department.
I took the entry exam for the veterinarian department.
And in 2016, I got this opportunity to enter this school.
There's no in. To enter the school.
So this was from my child.
Okay, no, that's no. Okay, so this has been my dream since I was a child. This has been my dream since I was a child.
So this is my dream from my child, because that is a very.
Or maybe childhood dream. This was my childhood dream.
Difficult challenge for me.
Well, this is finished, right? So it was a difficult challenge.
So when I know that when I know that test result.
When I found out my test result, found out, not know.
And I will enter to this.
There's no to. When I found out my test result and I knew I would enter the school. Okay, so when I got my test results and I knew I was going to go to the school.
Test result, and I will enter to this vet. I can learn the vet. Me and my mother and my brother.
The way she talks is also quite hesitant. She doesn't really get any connected speech going.
We are so very happy.
We were. Okay, so she never uses the past tense. Like here, plan.
So we plan a travel plan.
We we plan a travel plan. We planned a trip.
Made a travel plan to Thailand
We planned a trip to Thailand. Thailand.
to celebrate this event. This year, I have time. My brother and my mother, and I have the time to.
Well, here she mentioned mother, brother, and herself. So I don't know why she doesn't say we, because she has to go through all these people and she mixes them up. Anyway.
And I have the time to travel to Thailand. Make this trip.
Take. But the traveling to Thailand is the trip. So what is the purpose of this here? Make this trip. So we finally have time to go to Thailand.
Make this trip. In there,
Okay, and then she got cut off. I don't know if she would get more than a 5 for this. It was a little bit difficult to follow. Pronunciation was not great. Very flat. Chunking was okay, but no connected speech, very little stress, no intonation. Vocabulary is pretty confusing at sometimes, and the grammar was quite simple. Here is sample 5.
I'm going to talk about an important invite.
Okay, this woman confuses event and invite.
That is my 12 years old birthday.
No, it's my 12th birthday, not 12 years old. Only people are 12 years old. It was my 12th birthday.
Because in my country, the 12 years old birthday is very important for children. That is...
Oh, that. Here's another that. That. Okay, so she has a problem with the TH sound as well.
For children. That is such a memorable time for the children.
Not sure why it's the children. Isn't it all children? No, the?
In a whole life.
Okay, I'm guessing here. I'm guessing. Okay, so that is the most memorable event in children's lives, or in children's whole lives, or in a child's whole life, if you want to use life. Okay, because I'm confused about the whole life. The only way this makes sense is if we say the most. So that is the most memorable event in a child's life. Maybe that's what she means.
So that I have this kind of celebration of my birthday.
Her pronunciation is a whole lot better than the other people's, though.
And my parents helped me to hold this.
Like when she makes a mistake. Like here, my parents helped me. Oh, good grief! I didn't even indicate the mistake. Let's listen to this again.
And my parents helped me to.
Ah, come on now. Okay, so here, when she makes a mistake, notice how she says helped a little bit louder. She puts stress on that.
And my parents helped me to.
Well, that's what I mean. At least she's using stress.
Hold this important party.
Important party. I love the way she said this. Here, this is a little bit of connected speech. Important party.
To hold this important party. The birthday party.
Birthday party.
And as for who celebrated this event.
Okay, and here she's moving on to the next cue. She says, and as for who, because on your cue card it says who celebrated this event. But she confuses invent and event again. But I do like this as for who part.
Who celebrated this event for me?
should change this as well, because she did say invent twice. Okay, that's just one of those things. Her brain can't get can't get around the difference between the two.
Event for me, actually, because as I just mentioned, it's a very big party, so that it's
It was a very big party. Did she mention that? I don't know. She said it's an important party. She didn't say it's a big party. I can't even find it now. Here. Yeah, I don't know. She didn't mention this, but okay. Not important.
so that it's besides my parents, they also invited many of my best friends.
Besides my parents, who's they? Isn't it they her parents? I'm confused about this. Besides my parents, they also invited. So that means your parents invited themselves?
My parents, they also invited many of my best friends, and also my parents' colleagues and friends, and also my families and
People just have one family, kind of families.
my families and some relevance.
Again, she's confusing relative and relevance. Very different words.
Okay, so regarding to how we
She's moving on to the next cue. I do like the way that she announces this. Okay, so regarding this tells the examiner you're moving on to the next cue on the cue card. She does this pretty well. I do like the way she does this.
celebrated this event, firstly
We went.
went to a very big restaurant, and actually that is the first time I went to such a luxury restaurant.
Okay, the tense is wrong. Pronunciation, still pretty good. Such a luxury restaurant. The problem is luxury is a noun. The adjective is luxurious. But no one is going to describe a restaurant as luxurious. Why don't you say upscale or fancy? This was the first time I went to such an upscale restaurant.
And I had to say that
I have to say, why is this in the past tense?
the environment and the decoration of this hall is very
Pole. I heard pole. Don't know. Sounds like pole.
Left me a very good impression. And all my families are celebrated the birth.
Well, my family, my whole family. It can't be all my families. You only have one family. So my whole family, this is a verb. We don't need the be verb. So my whole family celebrated. It's not the birthday. It's my birthday. So my whole family celebrated my birthday.
And to ate a very delicious cake.
By. My whole family celebrated my birthday by eating birthday cake.
Delicious cake, and also
Doing something.
very fun. And when it comes to why, I think it's very
Next cue. And when it comes to why. Okay, so she's got those markers down. Here she introduces the last cue. Last cue probably says why did you think it's a very important birthday? When it comes to why, very easy to understand.
When it comes to why, I think it's very important to me. As I just mentioned, it's a traditional celebration in China.
No problem?
And 12 years old is very important for children.
Problem. 12 years old is very important for children. What does that mean? I think she means your 12th birthday. Your 12th birthday is very important for children.
So that left me a really
The pronunciation of the words, though. Oof. She doesn't get the TH down.
good impression.
So that left me a really good impression. Yes, she said that already.
And also, that's the first time I have a very, to some extent,
Ooh, I do like this. To some extent, she throws that in there. But it should be in the past tense. This was the first time I had, to some extent,
most meaningful birthday party in my whole life.
she said most again. It's just most.
So that was a really important celebration for me. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know. It's kind of funny now to listen to this and hear that's all, thank you. You can say this, but just be careful. Because what if you only speak for, I don't know, let's say 1 minute. And at the end you say that's all, thank you. But the examiner decides that that's too short. Then it's going to look kind of odd that you say that's all. And the examiner is going to say, can you tell me more about blah, 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 blah. So, I don't know. I would suggest don't say this because it might turn out that's not all. Anyway, this last person, even though she mispronounces the TH sound, I did think her pronunciation was quite good. Vocabulary and grammar were also good, but too many errors. Fluency and coherence, I don't know, she did have all those markers that she used, right? In a whole life. Yeah, maybe she can get a good score for fluency and coherence. I was still able to understand everything she said. So fluency and coherence and pronunciation, pretty good. Better than the grammar and vocabulary.